you're going to hear us talking and it's going to feel like advice, or you're going to think it is, and it's not. We're not licensed. We can't give you advice. We aren't doing any of that. We are a combination of me and about 28 financial experts who help you get all this done. Now, you don't get them unless you come all the way into the big table, all of them exclusively. You get a few here and there on some different options and different programs. But we're here to help you, educate you, so then you actually can fish on your own. You can actually make the decisions. You know enough about how to make money, to make marketing decisions. Enough to call, Scott, you're going to meet some of the experts today because we dangle them in front of you and just show you how integrated we all talk together. We work together. This morning, you'll not only met Randy, who's a huge, huge part of our organization, and he actually is the CEO of where most of you should have your money right now. Again, not advice. You'll understand that whole project once you get into it. And we're going to meet Scott, the entity trust and corporate compliance expert, which I think 99% of you probably need that. It's usually what you need. And if you think you have them, like how many of you right now, let's just do a quick poll. We'll go ahead. How many of you have some sort of a corporate structure, no matter where you are in the world? You're an LLC, corporate structure, numbered company, partnership, trust, whatever your country's name for these are. Okay. Not enough of you. That means you're all sole proprietors. You're not answering. So again, like Randy said, get in the chat. Let's be super active. And Kevin, we're going to get you one. We're going to get all of you one, because you can't live the life we're going to talk about without this. And I'm going to add a database to it, Randy, because we're going to keep pushing on that. And there's too many people that are still saying they want to make money, saying they want to do things, not doing anything that looks like making money to me. So it's an interesting conversation because most of you don't even know the questions to ask, and you don't know what you don't know. And that's not rude or disrespectful. It's just kind of the truth. All right. Right? Anything else, Randy?
No, that's exactly the truth. And like we encourage people in the very beginning, this is the last little bit of stuff I want to give you as we get going is there's a sequence layer here, right? We're going to start at the very, very beginning so you understand philosophically what we're talking about and what Laurel has created. If you happen to be fairly sophisticated, you got to C Corp with the board of directors and you're properly managing your minutes and everything's getting done right. Pay attention. There's stuff going to be here for you as well. We're starting at the beginning, though. We want to help people understand why you want to live this way and then start to teach you how to live this way. That's the golden book right there.
This is the goal. Our first goal is to get you all at least consistent 100,000 income earners in an entrepreneurial venture. I don't call them side hustles. Side hustles are making, 100 here, little bits of money. There's no system to it. You're going to see systems today. You're going to see processes. You're going to see how to do this with a whole team. So let's go to the next slide, Steve. And as we do that, Randy, we're also behind the scenes. Steve, if you want to, let's pump another email and a big text out. We had 300 people registered. I'm expecting probably more like, 120, 140. So we're not even close. People are, again, say they want to do stuff and do nothing that really looks like it. And we are serious, super serious about it. We're not just doing this because we need to be busy on a Thursday doing something. We do this because we're looking for people who are serious. So go ahead and go to the next slide, that are committed. You're going to hear 3 words. Actually, go back to the other slide, Steve. Own nothing, control everything, because that is the goal, which comes through the Millionaire Maker book of the Rockefeller family. I know Jason's out there too. He always has a good story around this too. Randy, why don't you talk a little? So, what this also means. Own nothing, control everything means your companies, your trusts, and their structures, no matter where you are in the world, that own everything you have, because then you could actually do proper tax deductions and live corporate life. If you live as a sole proprietor, you're not even activating yourself really properly in the financial systems. And for like Mary, who said, I do, but want to invest, or you want to restart it, you either restart or dust it off. So none of you, what you're going to do now is take any action without our guidance and sequencing, which you're going to learn about. But when we say own nothing, I'm talking like I, Laurel Langmeyer, literally don't have a phone. I don't have a vehicle. If you sent me a check to Laurel Langmeyer, I have nothing to sell you. My companies do. So then I would send the check back and say, could you please send the money to the right company, the right LLC or S Corp, C Corp, whatever it was. So Randy, you want to talk about that? And we'll bring Jason in and introduce him as well.
Yeah, when you think about it at the big level, how does the billionaires and millionaires, how do they live and why do they do things a little differently? Well, that's what we're going to try and teach you. There's a methodology to having corporations. Our government, as bad as people make it out to be and make everything sound, still we have the best taxation system in the world by far. Not even close. No offense, Canadians and people there in Mexico. We do. And I have a Mexican corporation too. So I fully understand the difference on both sides. I don't really play much in Canada. But the idea is that the government gives you an advantage and an encouragement to be a business, to be a formal corporation, which allows you a deduction process of your money earned, which means the company can own your car, your phone, all of your widgets and toys and things, and it can own them in a different tax status, which means you don't have to take the personal income to that you're then taxed on. My company is worth, I don't know, $25 to $30 million, but I only make $48,000 a year.
Yep.
How do you do that? Well, the company buys this, the company buys that. Now you got accountants and people to do that the right way, but it's perfectly legal. That's the point. You need to understand. Then you control everything. I control everything inside our company. I control the whole thing, but I don't own the stuff that the company owns. It also protects you on the liability side. I'm not going to jump into the legal world, but you can protect the assets you've earned from people that might just be coming after you for your money. That happens all the time. If you think it doesn't, just read the newspaper. So the whole structure and the focus on this particular slide is there is a method to own it. I mean, not own it, and control it. And Jason has some good insight on this too.
Well, I'm going to attempt to drop a little bit of a picture for you. W-2 people, all of their income hits their personal checking account, right? Where when you have an entity, it's kind of like a sieve or a filter. And so the money goes through that, and things that can be filtered off, expenses, right? So there's less that comes through this one, then you may have another one. But what actually comes down to you personally is very, very little. Corporations make money, individuals get taxed. And there's a really great example out there. We have this Rockefeller on there. He's figured it out. But there's a guy by the name of Cornelius Vanderbilt. When he passed away in, I believe it was 1896, my date might be off there. His inheritance to his kids was larger than what was in the U.S. Treasury. Now think about that a minute. More than what is in the United States Treasury, that guy passed on to the next generation. He did not teach them this idea of owning nothing and controlling everything. He did not teach them the idea of the value of passing stuff from generation to generation and how to avoid legally taxes. So what happens, fast forward, call it 75 years later, his grandchildren, the third generation, and some great-grandchildren got together at Vanderbilt University and had a family reunion. There was a whopping 0 millionaires in that group. Not a single one. On the flip side, the Rockefeller family does nothing but get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier every single generation. That's what it's all about, and that's what we're going to teach you.
Yep.
Perfect example.
It is. Let's go to the next slide. There's 3 words we're going to be teaching you throughout the day, and we really anchor our conversation on it. We anchor our commitment to you and back to us. We are not hey, we're interested, even though probably a lot of you come from social media where you found me interesting out there. Now you're here, and our challenge to you is to get committed. And there's a big difference between interested and committed. Interesting is you click on everything. You might show up, you might not show up. Like I said, we had 300 people say that are clearly, said they were interested. Right now we're about 72. Our goal. So Steve, go ahead and pump out those emails and text, and team on the floor, dial everybody that you talk to. And yeah, thank Madeline. I actually was going to go there and say, how did you hear about this company? Not only me, but it was a TikTok, YouTube, through a summit. What brought you here? How did you get here? That gives us some good insight. Perfect. And so commitment is such a different posture of living. Like commitment isn't just, what you do one day and then you're interested the next day. If you are really committed to not only becoming a 100,000-aire in addition to your job, right? We're talking those of you who have jobs, fine, keep them. To live this life, though, to do all the deductions, to have the money available to do more investing and pay less taxes, like that whole formula, you have to really work our structure and our sequence of it, depending on what you did to yourself. So commitment is, like, I always use the word at all costs. So I'll let Randy add in and Jason add in on what their definition is. But to me, it's at all costs. Like I have done projects or been in situations where it's years of commitment to make the project work or make the thing work or get to a New York Times or another. We just got another award, guys, by the way. We got Reader's Choice Award. We just got the Writer's Excellence Award for 2022 Personal Finance Best Book of the Year last year. So I share those because these were commitments. This one took almost 2.5, 3 years to do. So you talk about committed. Oh my gosh. This poor little book, Make Your Kids Millionaires, our latest one from May of last year. It had so many bumps in the road. A lot of you guys would code it as failure. That's the way you talk and think. It's not failure. It's just, there's some bumps in the road right now. Anyone who's doing construction or doing anything in the development space has better, they better be committed or they're going to go under. The car dealership space, super, super bumpy. Carvana is going to go bankrupt. There's a bunch of those online kind of places are going to go bankrupt, which I'm happy about. But in the meantime, I own part of a dealership. We got to hold. So we're not interested in holding. We're committed to holding. So I think some of you throw in the towel, you give up way too fast because you don't understand that muscle that you have to develop. I'm going to call it a muscle. It's like a money muscle of living in a committed life. A lot of you come and go and come and go. Randy, what would you add to it? And Jason, I'll let you follow.
That's the perfect word. The analogy I like sometimes is the gym. You can go once and get really sore and then you just like, oh, that wasn't very fun. I'm not going to go back to do that. Right. So there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve in everything we do, just like working out. If you go work out every day, a year later, you'll look up and be like, oh, wow, that's different. That's better. The analogy dog on a bone, we've all heard it. When we talk about being committed, that means you're going to go through the tough stuff because there is going to be tough stuff. Mm-hmm. Not everything lines up perfectly. Believe me, we've all had things not come out perfectly and plenty of times. And so the idea is to be committed, not interested. Now, not that being interested is wrong. I'm also not going to make anybody here wrong. If you're like, I like my job. I saw this Laurel chick and this sounded interesting. So, and maybe I'd like to make some money or not. Not making you wrong about that. Just if that's the approach, manage the expectation. Because the one thing Laurel does not have is a magic wand. She can't just dink you on the head and make you a millionaire. She will give you a formula and a process that you have to do. So that's the committed piece.
You used the analogy of the gym. I was talking to my friend. He says, yeah, I'm committed to going to the gym every day and doing cardio. And then I saw him one day. I said, I thought you were going to the gym. And he says, yeah, they moved the cardio to the second floor, so I don't think I could do it. That was not very committed, just so you know. My best analogy, what I like to think about is Cortez. When he came to the Americas, he had ordered the ships burnt. Yeah, the soldiers, the ships are burning. We are going to conquer. We're all the way into this, and that's the only way. The only way to get back is to be victorious. And to me, that's the best example.
Absolutely. So committed is one word. We're going to add a few words coming up next. Let's go through a few slides quickly. Again, just set a little bit of context. Who is this event for? Who is it not for? I think, just because I'm a little, excited about the work that, I'd say was given to me to hand through to you. There's a huge lesson for a lot of you. If you can't write your first book, you're not going to get your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And don't think that you're short content. Once you start giving up your content and really helping others and using it to serve others, more is coming. More is coming. More is coming. So I think this is for anyone, including those of you that are millionaires. Why? Because there's always something, right, that you can learn. Always. You can always take one gem away, one light bulb moment, one distinction that could change everything for you. So you're listening for what you're needing and what you're wanting. And like Randy said earlier, some of you, you really want to learn investing. Well, then read the Wealth Cycle Investing book, The Millionaire Maker. It's the third book of the Millionaire series. And jump in the big table and learn. We're going to be in Dallas, Texas, April 3rd and 4th. Write that down. April 3rd and 4th. We only meet twice a year live. So we're at about 115, 120 people right now, guys.
That's good.
So those of you that jump and commit and say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be there in Dallas and fly in on April 2nd, leave on April 5th or the night of the 4th, depending where you live. We're going to give you an extra special deal because you've got to get your ticket and you are 2 weeks and a few days away from it. So we're going to give you a little special gift. So stay tuned and listen for that as we come into the end of this morning section. So I think it's for everyone, but Randy and I mean, we always want to, and the whole team, we want to speak to all of you, especially those of you that are higher level. Remember, our big table is a multi-million. I mean, that's where the millionaires are made. That's the multi-million millionaire club. That's where, it's the longest standing business and finance mastermind and mentorship in the world. No one's ever sustained. We're on year 22, this long of a process. And we've had teams that are just phenomenal, from tax to corporate structure. Jason's our insurance expert. If you're going to do the market or cryptos or any of that, you use the software that Randy has. Like, there's not a place that we don't touch and help you win. So I would say it's for everyone. Don't know if you guys agree. I'm sure you both do.
Yep, completely.
And if we go to the next slide, being committed means that you're going to stay all day. Now, if you stay between now and 4, that gets you into the marketplace. So here's how the day goes. We're between now and about noon. We're going to talk about this. This is the Millionaire Intensive. Is how do we help you get here? We're going to give you an overview. Remember, this is a free event. So we are recording. You can buy the replay for $47. Steve, if you want to put that link in the chat, Steve or Terry, one of you guys, put the link in the chat. You can, and there's a lot more reasons. I'll go into the VIP $47 program in a minute. This is free. This is thousands and thousands of dollars of swag bags, but you got to stay. So 10 to 12 is the morning session. 12 to around 12:45-ish is about marketing and a database. Without a database, you can't really begin business either. I call you an emotional, Jason and Randy, I call them emotional entrepreneurs. That's my new word. Because you're really not serious about building a business. You want to sell a little bit of stuff, work when it's convenient. You really don't have any strong money muscles. Sure don't have good, strong entrepreneurial muscles. So it's critical. We're going to talk about database. And then we're going to switch into what are your offers? What are your prices? What could you sell right now to consistently make money? And some of you are millionaires that are out there, again, to who should still stay. Why aren't you building a database still? To sell more things to, or to find investors. That's where I get more. Do you think of I find people that if I want to do a project together, I find them in my database. I don't just find them out on the street and I go roam around on the internet. I call the internet the bathroom wall, by the way, because anybody can write anything about you. It doesn't have a delete button and it stays with you for a lifetime of your resume. So it's the good and the bad and the interesting. We're going to talk about how I handle that as we get into today, because as you become amazing entrepreneurs, you need to handle your reputation management as well. And then around 3, we're going to go into a marketplace. You'll meet more of our experts. As long as you stay 10 to 4, at least experience part of the marketplace, then you do that. You have 2 strategy sessions, which we're going to introduce our strategist in just a moment, and have fill out a student profile. So Steve also Terry put the profile link in the chat. So we have that available for those of you that have not filled out a profile. You need to get that done. What you get when you do those 3 things, And you're going to either call Terry, email Terry, say, hey, I did them. I got them. She worked very closely with every one of the strategists and the dialing team here in our office. So she'll know if you had your sessions or not. She knows if you have a profile or not. So, and Chrissy right next to her is taking attendance. So we actually have our data points to make sure you're doing it. But what you get is content that you can't buy or get anywhere else. So the first 3 actually only happen at the big table. It's high sales ticket. How do I actually sell and coach you to sell high tickets, meaning anything above, say, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I've actually sold $100,000 in a tuition program with Bob Proctor. How do you sell a big ticket like that? Very different strategy. Randy actually does a great cut at how do you do a very, very simple, operational, but necessary business plan. We talk about entrepreneurial leadership, and then you get all the rest of that stuff below: our library, the expression of your power, which now I'm calling it a classic because Bob passed actually a year ago this month. And he gave me the last endorsement of his life on this book right here at the top. And you got to go get it to read it. You get our real estate programs, and you're going to get a ticket to a real estate tour or some field trip of your choice. And we actually don't have a lot planned this year. We may put one in over the fall to head out to, I have a project in Hawthorne, a marijuana grow, somebody who wants to see that business, especially those of you that are not legal in other states. How does that business work? You want to visit farms, you want to see it. I'm one of the few that are probably going to allow some touring and some visits to have people come out. We're also going to be doing some development, real estate. We do lots of different tours and things to show you how this works. I'm a firm believer of you got to take you to the streets and show you how it's done. We're not just going to read about it. We're not going to sit on Zooms about it. We got to go meet, which is why April 3rd and 4th, for those of you who are serious about jumping and being in the big table and a group. I mean, where would you ever get to be around, let's just call it 120 people, either on their way to be millionaires, or multimillionaires, and we've been together for 22 years. You can imagine the conversation and narrative that goes on in that room. And those are not live streamed for many, 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 many reasons that we aren't going to really need to talk about now. But this is commitment. Stay today. And go to the next slide. Let's meet the team. And then here's what I'm going to tell you about the strategists. The strategists are not coaches. So don't ask them how to do things. They may know, because some of them are millionaires and very, very smart. Actually, all of them are very, very smart. They know our big table. They know our 100K program, which is an entrepreneurial just income program, make 100,000 in a year. Any other acceleration, we do real estate. We can help you publish. We can do all sorts of accelerated coaching programs, we call them, and anything in between. So their job is to assess you. So go to the next slide, Steve. Their job is to do a gap analysis on you. Now, you all got this book. And if you didn't, go get it. You have it when you registered as part of your quick start. And up to like in chapter 3, read the first 3 chapters, you're going to understand what a gap analysis is. So it's your baseline, which is where you are, and your freedom day is what you want. And then what we're going to do once they assess you and say, this is what you want, that's what their job is. Where are you? What do you want? And then whether it doesn't matter which one you are paired with, they're going to then find your problem, tell you what is the right solution that we can help you with. And which is all inclusive, would be the big table. And then they are going to send you a contract, collect money, and move you in. Then you're assigned to a coach, me, and the expert team. Then you get access to everyone. Then we're going to work on really ramping up your income. I call it optimize your revenue, and really start asset education. What do you even invest in? Real estate and the stock market are the typical standards. There's so many other great assets that you could be investing in for different and variety of returns and diverse returns that most of you need to do right away. And you just don't know. And then how do you invest in a recession? How do you invest in high interest rates? How do you invest in inflation? You do not go get out of debt in these times. That's the last of your agenda. And if you're just went, oh my God, what'd she say? I said, yeah, you're not getting out of debt. That is no priority of mine. Notice on your plan right here, I don't think it says, go get out of debt. Because that's a huge excuse for those of you. When you say that, I got to get out of debt, then I'll come work with you. It tells me how uneducated you are. And I'm not being condescending or rude. We know what you don't know. We've been millionaires for decades, a long time. We've lived through all sorts of up and down economic cycles, and we've always won, and we've helped our clients win. So this is your end game. You're in the right place. If you just want to be safe and stable and live in a little box, you should probably just say goodbye and go listen to Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. And good luck with that. They'll keep you safe and stable and really small. The chances of you ever making 100,000 in any of those models is pretty rare. And they are the best at that conversation because there are people who just want that life. If you want to grow. And so how many of you are committed to now, just the little bit you've heard from Randy, Jason, and I, how many of you are committed to what you can hear and know today about being millionaires? Like you want to go for it. Or at least, if you don't want to do millions, say 100,000 there, but anything less than 100,000, I mean, come on.
And that's 100,000 in a entrepreneurial venture, not $100,000 W-2 job.
Right. No, anybody can get that. Anybody can get that. My son's 23 and heading into the 70s for his first job. So let's meet our strategist. So is Laura out there? Somebody want to talk on that side? Steve, is she out there? If not, Jeff, why don't you come live while we go find Laura?
I'm right here, Laurel.
There you are. Hello, darling. So again, their job is so critical. Their job is to assess your problem and then help you identify what part of our solutions are going to work best for you, given not only what you've done to yourself, what are you willing to do? And Laura has a great process to walk you through. What are you really willing to do? So I think some of you think you're committed, and every one of these strategists are going to take you to the line of a true commitment. Like it's a yes or no. You want this life or you don't. You can't kind of want it, or kind of maybe think you might want it or want parts of it. It doesn't work that way. If you read The Millionaire Maker, you'll see you need all parts of it to do it right and stable. So Laura has been a partner. She's run my offices out of Utah. I've known her for ever. And she's just a huge key part of this team. So Laura, tell them a little bit about the strategy session. I'll introduce Jeff and Omar. And I think that's it for the strats that are here live. The rest are on calls or other places at the minute.
Great. Thank
Welcome.
you. So thrilled to be on this event. I look forward to it every month. And the biggest reason why is what Laurel said. My role is you're going to schedule a time with me, and I'm just going to talk through where you're at, and we're going to talk through what you want and what's holding you back. And I want to speak to something that Laurel and Jason said. You got to understand that successful people, we're willing to do what those who are not successful won't do, period. Yeah. And it's hard to change. And so I look at myself, and this is how I feel on these events, is I'm a change maker. I want to help you to make changes today. And so sometimes my conversations are really tough, and it's not for the fact, like Laurel said, that we're patronizing and rude. It's for the fact we really care. You don't want me to be on the same side of the paper as you right now. And the reason why is we're unable to help you achieve what we've not mastered. So we've mastered things in order to help you. And that's how I look at my session with you, is what can I do to help you change your life? And I'm pretty passionate about it. Actually, I'm very passionate about it. And like Laurel said, we're like decades together. So yeah. I'm excited to help.
Yep. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Laura. And Jeff, I've known in the industry. We've known of each other. And then we actually met in August and reconnected, and he joined the team. And Jeff, why don't you talk a little bit about your strategy session and meeting with folks?
Absolutely. Thanks, Laurel. Great to be here. I just say, guys, the whole session's about you. Figuring out where you are, where you want to go, and how we can help you get there with a multi-million-dollar team of experts that have been put together over the last 25 years. So all I can say is, get on our calendar, spend some time with your strategist. I promise you the time is well worth it. The value far exceeds the time you're investing. And ultimately, it's about you and getting you to that next level. So if you're ready and you're truly committed, then commit to an appointment with us. And I look forward to speaking to you. It's a fun time. It's a good time. It really gets you thinking about what's most important in your life. And we want to help you get there. So have an awesome day. I promise you, this is a life-changing event. And I'm so glad you're here. So look forward to speaking to y'all. Thanks.
And Omar, just want to come pop in and say hello as well.
Yes. Hi, folks. I'm a wealth strategist as well. And just like Jeff and Laura said, we're here. We're passionate. We're here to help you, achieve your goals, push yourself past what you know, get with some mentoring, coaching, and let's do it.
Absolutely. And so again, Steve, if you would support me right now, put the link to the the book if they don't have it, because you're going to need to read 3 chapters. It just helps you. I guess you don't need to. If not, the strategist will probably assign them to you. The other strategists you may be assigned to either Christina, Justin, or Jason. Could be also strats that you are assigned to. Here's what I want to do right now, though. We also have dialers. They're the ones that you hear constantly that are dialing and texting and emailing you, committing you to either come to this or make sure, you have your appointments. So they work as a team. For example, like Jeff works with Lavelle. Jeff and Omar both work with Lavelle. Chrissy works with Laura and Jason. So, and then Julie's in the office, Terry's in the office. So with all that being said, we know that we've emailed, and contacted you to get an appointment with one of them. So they're not going to put their Calendly link in because you don't know who's who. They know who's who. So strats, if you and your team want to really watch now, if you don't have something on their books, on their Calendly link and scheduled, or you're unaware of it, put no in the chat. And if then the teams will watch for those of you who say, no, you don't have an appointment yet. And they will go find you. They will then private message you here. So Laura will go through hers because she knows who she's been assigned. Jeff knows who he's been assigned. Omar knows who he's been assigned. Terry, Chrissy, Lavelle, and Julie will be supporting getting you all in. And we'll be adding Nikki and Naomi to this team as well as we head into our next one, which is on April. Every 3 weeks, we do this Millionaire Intensive. So April, what day is that? The 6th. April 6th is going to be the next one, right after the big table. All right. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate you. And let's go get appointments. Also, team and dollars here in the office. Let's get this room to 100 people. We want at least 100 people in the marketplace. We are getting there, not close yet. So I'd send another email blast. And those of you on social channels, come join us here. Steve, if you want to put that link in on how to join here out on the social channels, have everyone, post them around Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Come join now. All right. Let's go to our second word of the day, which is jump. So we want you committed, which is a way of living. And then jumping is how you make decisions. You're quick, right? You make decisions because you have rules. You understand what you want. You can say yes and no. And you don't use the words, I can't afford it. You can all of you could afford it when you learn what you're going to learn this afternoon on how to make money, because all of you have a gift and talent. In fact, let's do another poll out here. How many of you know that you have a gift and talent and somebody else has a similar gift and talent, but they make way, way, way more money than you, and you are, or you believe you are, better than them? Like, you could serve people's lives. That's the question, really. Do you have something that, I know, which is why I, have this team. Laura is very, very, very direct and aggressive, just like me. So is Jeff. So is Omar. Those two are getting a little more direct, but Laura and I have been working together for a very long time. And again, it's not to be rude, but we don't have time to diddle dally oh, well, maybe. Because guess what? If you want to play that way, no one's going to want your money if you had money to invest, because you're casual, not committed. You get around to it. Yeah, I'll get around to the paperwork. Yeah, I don't have time. Not sure. That whole energy is interested, not committed. And then jumping is quick. We're going to make a decision. I want to know how to do this, and I'm going to do everything to learn it. So you don't have any money or mindset issues, really. You have a lack of knowledge issue. So that your lack of money and understanding business and finance and how it really works is really why you stand back and just use the word fear and risk as an excuse. Or you might see something, that, whatever you don't want to do. You have to do everything we're going to say. That we'll go through 12 building blocks and a little bit of the Millionaire Maker sequence and how that works. And you have to do them all. They work together, which is why I built the company this way. I saw this actually happen at the Rich Dad Poor Dad team, it was Rich Dad Advisor team. And I knew the minute that I left and was joining my team, I'm the facilitator of this enormous community and the founder of it, but I clearly am not the community. The people are the community. The experts are the community. And when I need somebody to talk about a topic, I go to a world leading expert and I bring them into the team. There's very few that are not big table grown. They have been at the big table. They've grown into millionaires, multimillionaires. Now they come back and they can offer a service because they are living and breathing this work. They know it inside and out and they live it inside and out. So let's watch this video and then we'll dissect the word jumping a little. Love this. Steve Harvey. Every successful person in the world has jumped. Steve, you want to show the video? Assuming you're getting it ready there.
Okay, here's the deal. If you want to be successful, here's the thing you have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to dash off that cliff, and you got to jump out there as far as you can. Now, a lot of times you stand on the cliff of life and you see other people soaring by, gliding down like a bird flying through the air. You know, they going over to the south of France. You see them on a boat somewhere. You see their family vacationing here, their family vacationing there. You see them dressing like this. You see them in New York, then you see them in London. They flying by. You know why? It's because their parachute open. But the only way to get your parachute to open so you can soar, you got to jump. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem, my friends. When you jump, I can assure you one thing. You listening? I promise you this. Your parachute will not open right away. No, that's the fear part. I promise you your parachute will not open right away. You're gonna hit them sides and them rocks. You're gonna tear your back out on them cliffs. You're gonna cut yourself. You're gonna get wounded. You're gonna get some tears and stuff like that. But eventually, the parachute will open and you'll be soaring. But here's the other caveat. Let me teach you this right here. If you do not jump, I promise you one thing, your parachute will never open. So you're safe, but you'll never soar. You got to jump. I got to jump.
All right, how many of you love that video and you get it? So notice we don't use the word fear. We don't use all those like, you know, negative or hesitant, what I call interested words. We use very definitive and committed words, and we're going to treat you that way. And then if this isn't for you and you just want to live a casual and kind of a different, here's what I say, small, it's not bad. Like Randy says, you're not wrong. We're probably not your team, right? Because if you go to the next slide, I mean, this work comes from in 1996, I jumped out of a huge corporate exercise physiology job, building fitness centers on offshore and blue collar environments for Chevron. Did a lot of leadership coaching in the transition, but I became the master distributor in 1996 of the cash flow game for Robert and Sharon. Helped put it on the map. And then through them and watching how they worked with the team and really getting mentored at a whole nother level, was a millionaire by 1999. And again, what I write about in the Millionaire Maker book is the how, because when you play cash flow, for those of you that have, the reaction at the end is typically, now how do I put this in my life? So we take all of the guessing out and we actually put it into a sequence and an exact flow that you follow it. Now, some of you have got yourself all sorts of problems and issues and things going on. You're getting divorced. You're getting, you know, we have big foreclosures coming. You bought something upside down. You got some upside down projects. You need some smart brains and experienced brains to really help you run the numbers and what you're looking at in your solutions and your options. Like, what are you going to do to actually make more money for your family? What are you going to do to keep it? And then the big keep it is generational wealth. Are you really going to set up the trust and the insurance with Jason and our teams the way we set it up this way, Rockefeller way, to really make it work for you? Or are you going to do all sorts of weird shortcuts? And that's what we see people do. And those shortcuts or slow cuts. And this is a true story. We had a client come with a huge family. He joined and then said, you know what, my whole family needs to be here. So really 4 total families. There was 3 kids and a dad and mom. They got into all of this and realized they didn't have a trust. This true story happened at the end of February. I don't know if Randy or Jason, if you've heard. So Dr. Cole actually passed away. Not sure how, went off the road. This is Ryan's dad. And he will be in Dallas with us. They were 3 days, March 1st, they were supposed to sign and notarize all those documents and fund it all. Fund the trust, fund it all. So now we're in this interesting space of everyone was in agreement, was all in writing, but there are no signatures. So will they go to probate or not? Can the documents and the preparation stand? How are we going to navigate that family through it? they don't have to hire tons and tons of lawyers. In fact, none. There will be a group of us actually tomorrow circling him and coming up with options and really talking it through so they can preserve all of the family wealth, because they didn't get it done fast enough. So some of you, you have a list. Oh yeah, I'll get it incorporated later. Why? Every year that goes by that you don't do the things we're going to tell you to do in order, you're spending way too much in taxes, which means 30, 40,000 a year could be or should be put towards the new investments, but they're not. You'd rather pay Uncle Sam. That's an interesting choice of yours. You say, well, but I'm committed. No, you're not. Your behavior, and that's where we have become, we are world class. We watch your behavior, we watch what you do, and we will guide you so you don't keep running into cliffs. Some of you like being bruised, I guess. You'd rather do that than spend a little money, get the right mentor and team to help you get it all done. So anything you just want to...
I want to admit to something here. I before Laurel, I got involved in several different ventures, and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, many multiples of what the tuition is to the big table, that could have been avoided. Yeah, I jumped and I banged against the cliff and stuff, but however, after jumping into the table, if you will, or jumping on the table, I don't know what's the best term there, it's been a lot smoother sailing. And the cool thing is, and Laurel would admit it to you, she's had bumps and scrapes too. She's been committed all along, but there, she has experience. She is the coach. She is the one that helped you and the people that are around her. That kills me about Dr. Cole. That's surprising.
Yep. Sad. And it could happen to any of you. It happened during COVID. It's also why we brought this whole generational wealth and setting that part up. We brought it more to the forefront and prioritized it for you. Because why, even if you're only worth, say, 50,000 a day or 100,000 a day, why would you give 50% to your state? Because you're too, you're just interested. You're not committed to have your family have 100% of it. When your family can have all of it, why wouldn't you do some of the things we say to make sure that they do? So that's what we do. Let's go to the next table and next slide, talk about the table, and just gives you an idea. And it's not just the table we're talking about this lifestyle of living corporate life, as we call it. We're the only ones. I made it up. And I think as a team, we kind of all, added to it and we keep perfecting it. But this is a great visual of you're at the head of your table. And yeah, you could find all these kinds of people all over the internet, one by one by one by one. The challenge is they don't talk, and most of them won't talk to each other. Getting an entity person on a phone call with, say, a gas and oil expert that will then tell you tax strategies and get all that set up with the right corporate structure. Really? You're going to put all those people on a call? That's usually $1,000 to $2,000 an hour call if they do it, but typically they don't. Most people in the financial services space, which is why I built the company this way, they all operate in their own little pillars. It's so odd. It's the most intentional, weird thing that the financial services world did, is they all operate in pillars. You have to go one place to get incorporated. You have to go one place to get a trust. You got to go to another place to get insurance. And then you're in the middle going, oh my God, I hope this all works out, but I don't know a thing about any of this. So I'm just going to guess that, it looks like there's good reviews online. Well, I'm going to go try that. Most of those great reviews are also bots, and but the potential of losing money when you don't know what you're doing, you don't know the people. We're going to teach you how to truly look at a deal. Like Jason said, so you don't get into deals that go south or you lose. So this is really the visual that we want you thinking of living corporate life and having a big table. You got to take a seat. You have to lead, especially as parents or just adults. If you're just being responsible for all of this. This isn't just, walking through. Yeah, we're all having a good time, but why don't you do a responsibly good time? And in the meantime, affect a lot of lives. And that's really what we're here to talk a lot about today, is those of you who are baby entrepreneurs, you really haven't cracked even 5,000 a month or 10,000 a month. Let's get you there as fast as you can. How many of you have actually made 100,000 or more as an entrepreneur? And Terry, Chrissy, now let me start learning to take notes. As an entrepreneur, you've made more than 100. Say yes. Don't be shy. We're going to know anyway on your profiles. And for some of you, I know it's probably awkward to let other people know about you. It's okay. Come on. Guys, we have a lot that probably need 100K. So that question just informed our strategist where a lot of you are going to have to go. We're going to have to get you up to 100,000. Make sure you're incorporated, living corporate life with a database this year. Those will be your highest priorities. If you are under 100, I just gave you your top sequences. You have to learn to make money and be here every 3 weeks. Get here to our marketplace. You got to get a database. You got to get incorporated so you can do the deductions and live like a company. Because the company makes money, you get taxed as an individual. So we have to separate that and separate you from it. All right. So next slide. Of course, we struggle. We just don't quit. Also, a beautiful picture of our lions, our NFT lions. Which, by the way, Randy, if you want to kind of weigh in on this, isn't the crypto and NFT markets a little not only volatile, but raw right now would be a better word?
Raw would be a great word. You know,
Raw.
in the hells of the FTX stuff, people just don't understand it at any depth. You know, we probably 90% of the people that I know that own some form of crypto, a third of them don't even know how to get to it or convert it to general usable fiat cash. And so, you know, the education piece is extremely important around it. And that's one of the things you do, Laurel. When you start talking NFTs, you teach them what the heck they're buying, so they understand they're exchanging one value object for another, and what do they use it for? How does it work? Where do you go get it? But when you look at, you know, the billions of dollars that went away in the FTX, I mean, the FTX deal is more corrupt than Bernie Madoff. Most people don't know. I mean, really, it's just a flat out, you know, shell game. It's with it. So it's very, very volatile. I would highly encourage all of you that do have some forms of Bitcoins and crypto, and I'm not anti that at all. It's not what I'm saying. Understand it. Know how to move it. Know what it takes to go get it. You know, it should be into these little things that sometimes we teach at the big table called money rules. You want to make sure you have them all cleaned up so you understand what you're doing with it. But yeah, raw is definitely the case. You know, Bitcoin and the Global Bitcoin Trust are both experiencing a little bit of a dead cat bounce right now. So, well, we have one guy that we work with very closely, sold $2 million worth of his Bitcoin yesterday because he's taking what he can get out of it right now. So anyway, it is raw. It's regulation is coming. Here's the yin and the yang of it, Laurel. It's going to be raw now until such point the governments step in and regulate. If the government step in and regulate, it defeats the purpose for what it was created for. So we are in that proverbial pickle. You know, I mean, the pickle here in the middle.
Proverbial pickle.
In the proverbial pickle. So it is raw. Play away, just understand the risk and what you're doing with it. Yep.
And again, this is money rules. We're going to go through every, you know, strategy from NFTs to crypto to gas and oil. We got experts in every category. Cannabis. I mean, do you want to get in the private cannabis sector in your state? We know how to help you get into that. We're in it. So every one of these has different rules, different strategies. You need to lean in and say, I need to learn a lot more of this. Like, instead of parking your money in with a financial planner and praying to God that you do something with it, which is what most of you do, or you park in the only vehicle that you think's available to you, which is a 401k, you're not really you haven't begun. You haven't really begun the game.
You know, on the 401k side, Laurel, this one's interesting too. By the way, we're going to be offering that through Flip here shortly for companies. That's something we just been putting together. Yeah. But anyway, the 401k, you can, you know, there's different types. If you ask the right questions, in many cases, you can self-direct them. So just want to pay attention to that.
Right.
That's it.
If you are still in your company, you can take a loan for up to $50,000 if you work in that company. But where Andy is talking about, like when I left Chevron, I pulled that 401k into a self-directed process. So now it owns real estate. It owns some wastewater. It owns part of a gas plant. What else is some real estate? It
does have restrictions. Some of the internal plans I've learned, something I've just recently learned. Some of them, not all, some of them you can actually move it into a self-directed status and move it into, I don't think you can move it into gas and oil or crypto or things like that, but you can move it into real estate and some different platforms, which I found fascinating because I literally just stumbled upon that this last week.
Yep. Awesome. So let's go to the next 2 slides. These are a couple of resource pages you're going to need. This will stay up forever once you've attended the event. So the resource page goes to asklaurel.com/TMI guide. So you go over there and you can get your T-sheet, which was Randy's talking about. That's how you're going to build a database from this room and every other Zoom room you're in. I'm going to give you a complete strategy on how to pull people out of Zoom rooms to get them into your database. And again, we'll be talking about databases in just a little bit here, why you need one. There's also funnels. There's kind of blank funnels because you'll be building funnels. Some of you in the chat are saying, I need 10,000. I'm going to give you a model of exactly how to make 10,500. And you do everything we say, you do it right. You should be up in the next few months easily doing that. Easily. See, a lot of you do have good stuff, but you're not in any structure to be a business owner. I mean, on Ask Laurel, I think Ed and a few of you that, I don't know if Yanni or Yana or Raul or any of those guys are still on from, or even Beth from Tuesday's Ask Laurel. But on a lot of those, I mean, you want to do a business, but you don't have a right business plan. You don't have a business plan structure. Your pricing's off. You're not ready to take money. Like if you're going to make money today, don't you think by this afternoon, you better have a Stripe or a Square or a Zelle or a PayPal or some sort of an account that you can actually take an order from Randy for $20 or Jason or me or whoever you're going to sell stuff to. Like you got to get ready. So make sure you go to the guide. There's also order forms. Some of you have never taken an order. You're not sure what all the line items are. It's not just, they're the credit card and the expiration. There's other parts that actually affect the rate of which you're charged to more the kind of information you get. So a lot of content there. So go there. And then those of you that really want the VIP, want the replay, I'll tell you why I think every one of you should get the VIP and really, really go for it. Go to the next slide, Steve. And you go to, again, asklaurel.com/TMI, stands for the Millionaire Intensive, which is where you are, our VIP. You're going to get a variety of replays, like our February 2nd is still one of my favorites so far from the 2023 shows. You're also going to get some from last year, December and November, because there's different team and there's different kind of things we talk about. We're not the same all the time. Depends on what's going on in the economy and the industry and, what we need to be sharing with you. We stay very relevant for you. We just don't stock and block the same old conversation. Now, some of you have been around a while, say, well, this seems like the same conversation. My question is, why aren't you at the next level in a coaching or mentoring or mastermind program that's taking you to the next level? You're going to get all my library, fast cash coaching, and continue in that. That's 3 days a week. Another ticket to the marketplace. You say, why do I need that? Because either your parents, your spouse, your kids, somebody in your world probably should have, woulda, coulda, needed to attend. And when we give you the replay, we're going to have this morning section. So those of you that's like, oh, to make a big financial decision, I need my partner, then you probably get the replay to send them out to them. Or your parents, if you're going to receive inheritance, they should be listening to the morning session. This one we're doing right now between 10 and 12-ish. Then those of you who know entrepreneurs or yourself, now we're going to go into a whole database conversation and then put you into a business. And we're going to design, like I said, a $10,500 business this afternoon. CM stands for Cash Machine, which is another one of my Millionaire Maker books. And the Reading Room is an 8-hour experience of me describing how to put that in your life. Put more cash in your pocket. Is that PMCIY? So put more cash in your pocket. Again, Reading Room. So it's the book and 8 hours. So huge value, thousands of dollars of value for $47, and we don't ever take it away. You can always have it and send it out to people. So you'll have an AM session, a marketing session, and a PM session as we go into a replay and what that's going to look like. And we'll get that out to you tomorrow. All right. Let's jump into the next slide. This is really what Randy was talking about earlier. After studying millionaires, it's interesting, Jason, you take us back to lessons from way back in the past. And the truth is how anyone's become a millionaire is how everyone becomes a millionaire. Now, you might do it in a different industry and you might have different investments, but 99.999% of the people who become millionaires do these things. So this is after studying lots of families. This is the pattern. It's in an infinity loop because from the minute you're on the planet to the minute you walk off, you're going to be dealing with money. It's just going to be part of your life. So you have to learn to make it. And those top 3 words in that little section there, cash flow, marketing, and sales, are the 3 most challenging entrepreneurial skills how to run a company, how to market to get a lead, how to sell to get a client. And then that sale also creates cash flow. So it's fascinating. And I can also tell through your language. Randy and I have had a lot of linguistic and NLP and communication, conversation training. And we can hear in your words, like those of you who won't get a database, how are you even going to figure out how to make 100,000 without one? Like crazy. We're going to give you an option. We actually do them for you for as low as $297 a month. So if you're serious, you got to get a database. How do you market? How do you sell? What's the sequence? Some of you that were, again, on my Ask Laurel, I know, Jeff, you're still out there. I'm going to talk to Ed specifically. A lot of you think you're going to write a book or do a program first. No, you're not. That is not what you do first. That's just going to slow you down and spend a lot of money and time. And you're not making any money by doing it that way. So we're going to show you how to make money. Randy and I traveled this show for over a decade around the world, 6 of the 7 continents, called 3 Days to Cash. And we would guarantee you would make money in 3 days. Then we cut it down to kind of 2.5 days. I mean, we were done by really day 2. And then we kind of switched gears and switched workshops, but we can help you make money in a minute. Like, it's that easy. You're not set for it is why you're not making money. And you don't ask for it. And honestly, you probably don't have a money muscle work ethic. Meaning you don't even actually, let's give a little poll. I always love this poll. How often, give me the hours of your business. If you're a business owner, what's the hours that you're open? We're pretty much 24/7 over here. We're highly, highly, highly responsive, high touch.
Laurel, I got to jump in there. I got to tell you a funny story. One of our young people, I'm not picking on young people. They were, I sent them a text on I think it was President's Day or something. And she types back, "Oh, we're working today." I sent back a simple text. If Taco Bell is open, we're working. Period. So that's our standard.
It's true. A lot of you aren't open enough. You're open maybe an hour. You open when it's convenient, when you're in the mood. You're not open. And then if you go on a vacation, by the way, you're never going on a vacation today or again after today, once you really are committed and jumping. It's just, why would you? You write everything off or go on vacation and then you can't. So once we teach you how to make it, you have to have the right structures, entity trusts, qualified plans, like where are you putting your money to keep it so you get the best tax value and tax advantage. And we're not avoiding taxes. We're just using 81,000 pages of code. We're going to go to that in the next slide. And then the big one, and why people are here for 22 years, we literally have people who have never left and they haven't joined another community because we are the only one who has such integration of so many different assets. So you have such a different blend. We also stay very relevant. We're not just teaching the same course all the time. So investment education, that changes depending on what's going on in the markets. Like when we go to the big table, we're going to learn about storage, all sorts of storage. There's vehicle storage, conic storage, there's regular storage, there's temperature controlled storage. We're going to learn about RVs. How do you market research? How do you find those areas? How do you read a PPM? All of these things you are going to start learning. And if you're sitting back there and immediately your reaction to is, well, I can't learn all that stuff. Do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want to lead your wealth? Or do you want to park your money with somebody and pray to God they're going to figure it out for you? And that's what most people do, which is why the statistics are horrifying on how few people ever really make it. And then the fourth one is what you don't do, because a lot of you are, I'm just going to say it, cheap on one side, or you don't see yourself or your self-worth of deserving a mentor of the level that, me and the team are. So you either choose to not do it. It's not because you can't afford it. You can afford anything you want in your life if your life depended on it. If someone's life depended on it, you would figure out how to make, $20,000 to $35,000 to do what you want and pay for what you need. There's no reason. And every one of you could make it today if you actually had the right offer. You could make $1 million today if you had the right offer. And a lot of you don't even know how to structure offers. Randy, I'm going to be in Texas with you, in May, and I was invited to another Orange County show with, a whole bunch of what I'm going to call, and I love that I'm a woman because I can pick on women a little bit more because I am one. But it's a very woo-woo women's global show, and they want me to. They called to have me help put together like a pitch tank, come pitch us deals. And I said, well, the problem is you have to let me talk way before, and we need to preface it, because every time, 99% of the time, I'm on a panel, like a Shark Tank panel. I've done thousands of them with Kevin Harrington. Most people are pitching an idea, not a deal, because you don't even have the right deal structure, paperwork, operating agreement, cap table. You don't even know what any of that stuff is. But you're over here in the fantasy land of, oh, I want to raise money. I want to have other people's money, right? Because OPM sounds so sexy. Most people should never give you money. Most of you aren't even set to receive money. Can you hand back an investor deck? Can you hand back investor documents? Can you hand back complete analysis of the project and what's going on? Do you have portals to keep the investors updated? Do you have all that set up? Now you're ready to take money. See, and a lot of you, like, it's all an idea. So we want you committed to making this all a deal, your life like this, and really jumping. So let's go to the next slide. I think this will be your eye-opening. It always is. This is your eye-opening slide. Some of you, if you've seen me talk before, you might have seen this, but just, again, pick out one nugget that you may or may not be doing to fully live corporate life, because these are the two lives people around the world live. And again, Randy and I have been to every continent. So most people around the world are trained to go to school, get a good job, become, get a good job, be an employee. We call it W-2 in America. It's different words in different parts of the world. So go ahead and put that up, Steve, all the employee life. And yes, Teresa, you said mentors are essential, but how often are you all paying for one, especially in money and business? And some of you are paying like some beginners because you think you're a beginner, so you start with a beginner. How are you going to move if you're at the same level as your beginning coach and mentor? They may be cheaper, but they don't have the experience. We have thousands of years of experience, not hundreds. I mean, we have so much experience on this team because we've all, grown through this together. So here's the disgusting statistics. And if you're out there on a live channel, go live now, repost, retweet, make comments. We want a lot of viewership around this. Here's the disgusting statistics. If you make 80,000 or more as an employee in the United States, you're in the top 25% of income earners. I can promise you, those of you, how many of you, you could say that you make 80,000 or more as an employee? How many of you do that? So say yes. Or you have before. Maybe you jumped out of a big corporate job and you went somewhere else and you're more of an entrepreneur and still working on making money. So those of you that are saying yes, I can already know your answer. You're going to say no to the question, how many of you feel like you're a top 25%er? Now, here's even the worst statistic. 100,000 puts you in the top 3%. Yep, you're a 3%er if you made 100 grand. And then you make $250,000, you're in the 1%. So when people say, politicians say, we're going to tax the rich, well, the rich live corporate life, not high income employee lives. We're employees of our companies, but like Randy said, he makes 48,000. I'm about to drop down beginning of April to 36,000. Why? Because I don't need the money. I don't even have a phone bill to pay for. So what do I have to pay for that I can't legally have a company pay for? That's the ninja conversation that we have with our clients. Because the problem with employee money, because there's qualities of money that we're going to be teaching you as you really lean in and let us, mentor you and coach you. This is the worst quality of money because it's taxed at 40-50%. You Canadians and Australian, more what I call socialized countries, or kind of that variance of it. It's not all the way, but you pay 50 to 60 because typically your healthcare is free. But I can tell you, I was married to a Canadian, and to get an MRI, my father-in-law had to stand in line for 6 months. In America, an MRI is that day. You go immediately over to imaging and you get an MRI. So although free, it's not really free. It's taken out of your paycheck. So I think that whole thing's an interesting joke. And again, it's how you spin the story to make it sound whatever you want it to sound like. When it comes to you and your family, we're never going to spin a story. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you the pros and cons, and then you're going to start making decisions. That's how we teach you through an educational model. So that way you start owning your decisions. So you're confident with your financial situation and plan and what you're doing for generational wealth. It's your plan, not your financial planners. It's not their plan. I mean, they probably don't have a plan. I know 99% of the, wouldn't you guys both agree? 99% of traditional financial planners, A, aren't millionaires, and B, don't even have their own generational wealth plan set up. So how are they going to guide you? Like, that's interesting. You're going to let them run your money. Then this 401k, we talked about that. And by the way, a lot of you who are really serious, you want to get committed. You're going to commit with our strat. It's that, to us, a commitment and jumping means you're jumping into some sort of a mentoring or coaching relationship with us that we can really, really help you. And those of you at the big table, you get my cell phone, you're going to get Randy's, you're going to get Jason, you get the whole team. And I mean, we're very, very high touch for you. So those of you that are that committed and serious, start making a wish list or just a to-do list of things you need to get done. Like you're going to have to get your 401k review, because some of you, you're in companies where it's great. And some of you are in companies where it makes no sense that you're there. And then you got to review your debt. Most of you have death insurance, which is term insurance. It's not the kind that Jason or our community even supports. Again, most of you think that going on a vacation is like a good thing. We go on business trips. You're also taught that debit and credit cards are bad. Nothing's further from the truth. Retirement is an agricultural word that means to put your cattle pasture to die, or like retire to a chair and have no active purpose of living. So I'm not retiring. I'm going to have freedom days. And I'm going to do what Bob did. I'm going to probably teach and talk and do all of this and have clients till the day I walk off the planet. I love what I do and I'm the best at it. Our team is the best at it.
Laurel, I want to jump in there real quick. This whole idea of retirement is a recent, and I struggle when people say traditional such and such. I like to call it typical, for the fact that traditional really predates, say, 1985 or whatever, when people really started getting into these retirement accounts. And the reason I'm saying this is 4 years ago, this last December, my dad passed away and he was 100 years old. And he was a teenager in the Depression. So he's kind of skipped a generation between me. Anyway, I never once heard him say that he was going to retire. And I've asked my siblings about that. Do you ever remember Dad saying that he was retired? And he made dang good money after the age of 90. Right? He was going till his deathbed. So put it out of your vocabulary. It's one of those swear words that you just get it out. Simply get it out. Yep.
Absolutely. And then the big one, which is coming here, is most of you think you're going to file taxes on April 15th. If you don't have any corporate structure, then you have to. If you could extend. I mean, 99% of our people, and I have extended the majority of my career. So don't worry about April 15th coming. Here's what we teach, and here's what you're going to learn to live. Like hearing it, what's going to happen, and I want some reactions in the chat to this, is when I put this up and we talk through it, I'm going to introduce now a corporate and trust specialist. So you want to make sure Scott's out there, you guys. When you truly live corporate life, I don't care if you're a millionaire, multimillionaire, there's still places that we actually refine and then deepen your level of understanding, especially on the tax and investing and generational wealth side. Like, how do you really set it up and own it? So, you're already tax filed and done. Well, we might have to do a review. So let me tell you how this works. So this is what we endorse and teach. It's not a program, it's a process. It's a way of living. Once you set it up, you don't just throw it down. Like I'm already transferring not only knowledge, but some of my wealth to my 23-year-old. And as my 16-year-old becomes 18, she'll have her LLC for her birthday. Because here's what we're going to teach. Go ahead and put the corporate life up, Steve. And Jason said it earlier. And it's what we teach. So we're going to go back and forth and just give it have a synonymous. These aren't like how this all works. Individuals make money, which means an employee, because that goes in your personal bank account and that can't change. Companies make money. So if you're just a small little employee of your company, which you need to be super small for health plan benefits, so you get great health care. You have to be under that 48,000 threshold. Some of you that are doctors, you have to, by just because of your industry, claim 100 or 120 as an incoming employee W-2. Then you have to counter that in your investing choices by getting better depreciation and loss schedules. So think about it. Companies make money. I said it earlier. If you send Laurel Langmeyer a check, I'm going to send it back. I'm going to tell you to send it to an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp. I'm going to send it somewhere that the company made money. The companies offer things to you. I don't offer you anything. I own the thing. I own these companies, but I don't take your money. So I think that's a huge distinction for a lot of you, which is why it's not how much money you make when you get incorporated. is this your intention to live this way? Which is why at 18 years old, literally for their birthday, they get an LLC, and they've already been groomed for most of their teenage years. Both of my kids, and your kids will be too. Your kids are our charity, by the way. You come on as a client, your kids go free. Jason's got 6 of them, brought them all, had them, multiple times at our big table or other tours, real estate tours. There's nothing cooler than a teenager or even somebody 8, 9, 10 being able to walk around real estate properties with real millionaires and see how their real stuff gets done. Like their eyes are so wide open to like, oh my gosh, there's so many choices. You could live so differently. Now, when you make money in your company, then you get 81,000 pages of code. Now, this is why the United States is still the best tax play ever, because you have so many choices of companies and you have 81,000 pages of tax code. Canada, for example, has 3,400. Australia has 3,200, not 81,000. And then a solo 401k is different. It's the 401k for your company. So you own it, not your employer owns it. You own it. And you put it away. You can put an HSA on there if you want a health savings account for your health and your health plan. Your Roth IRA is something that anything that grows tax-free, tax-deferred, big gains can happen in there without any taxes. So those are strategic investment choices that you're going to learn to start making. Life insurance, which is, you can either borrow from it immediately. What I love about life insurance and like proper life insurance is you can borrow against it. You can become your own bank. Jason's what Jason teaches implicitly. But more importantly, it makes a lot of your estate litigation proof. Like that money really gets a lot of what I call almost double protection. Gets insurance protection and LLC protection. Cool stuff. We're going to go on business trips. So if you're in real estate, I'm also in the wine business. I'm in CBD business. Anybody want to start selling CBD? We're actually going to white label my brand, Mom's Meds, into a CBD. I'm back for a meeting with them tomorrow, coming up with the label and doing actually the highest milligram, most effective CBD ever been created in the world. It is phenomenal. So I love doing that. Why? It's extra money. Am I going to do it? I'm going to set it up and I'll have somebody run it for us. So for all of you living corporate life, like being on a business trip, if you don't know how to go on a business trip, you call one of us and we'll help you brainstorm how to go on a business trip. Like my daughter and I in April are going to Hawaii. And my marijuana management partner is from Hawaii. So I have to do stuff legally around that company to be able to write up that part of it. My daughter's going to see some universities while we're there. So like she's my business partner in other companies. So we were going to make that a business trip. We're going to go see some real estate. So we're going to see some land, storage units. We're going to see how it works over there. Like we're going to make it a business trip built around, her surf lessons and everything else we do. But you got to start thinking differently. You got to live corporately, not as an individual. Debt and credit cards are critical. In fact, we're probably going to get you into debt, really good debt, help you arbitrage debt. The EIDL loans that the government gave to the companies over and over and over for 3 to 3.7% interest, which is almost free money. That is great arbitrage money for the company. Plus, it's a great capital, account that you can draw from. Freedom Day instead of retirement. And again, companies file taxes in September. You now will file in October after your companies file taxes. That's your new tax year in the United States. We're working with a guy, Jason, I don't know if he's out here today, who's in Canada, starting a construction company in Florida. Obviously, very clearly, not only I know implicitly how to reset his life, because in Canada, you don't get the advantages that you get here in America or any other country in the world. So a lot of our international clients, and there's a lot of you internationals here, you will end up setting up a company here in the US with us and our teams and using our offices. So with that, I'd like to bring in Scott. He's our resident entity compliance and trust expert. He's my partner, and we set up your trust. We have a huge army of lawyers behind us that back up all of our work. We make sure you're funded right, make sure your I's are dotted, T's are crossed. See, a lot of you can just go to some like .com and get an LLC or one of these companies. You don't know what you need because you aren't having a conversation, answering questions about the taxes, where you're going to do business. Do you have generational wealth? Are you married? Like there's so many questions that define what that company is and then how many you have. Many people have, after you do this a while, I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of companies. So I have a lot of partners. So Scott, are you out there?
I am. How are you?
I'm good. What else would you tell these amazing people about living corporate life?
Yeah,
We are masters of it.
absolutely. So if you want to build a successful business, you want to be able to take advantage of what we're talking about here, living corporate life, we have to form the corporation or LLC now. Reason being, when you open a bank account, when you set up merchant services, things of that nature, as a sole proprietor, if you decide later to go ahead and set up a company, you're going to have to go back through that whole process again, which means it can shut down your business. It can delay, growth, things like that. In addition to starting out as a sole proprietor, you're really only affording yourself about 15 to 30 different deductions on your Schedule C. Whereas when you incorporate, when we're talking about 81,000 pages of tax code, that equates to approximately 233 to 305 different corporate write-offs. So it allows you far more use of your money up front, which ultimately results in paying our silent partners or Uncle Sam a lot less in taxes. Now, I call them my silent partners because, they want all the money, but they're not doing anything for the company, right? So anyway, but yeah, you want to have a proper structure in place. As Laurel said, if you go to one of the .coms, they're really just a document processing service. They're not going to say this is the best entity based upon what you're doing. And this is the best method of taxation so that you can take advantage of all of these write-offs. So again, having a properly structured business, having your operating agreements, your minutes and resolutions, ownership certificates, that's a big one too. If you want to create generational wealth, you've got to have not only a trust in place, but the ownership certificates of those companies should be owned by your trust, along with all of your other personal assets. In addition, if you operate your business as a sole proprietorship and something happens to you, see, as a sole prop, the business basically dies with you. Whereas with a corporation or an LLC, they have perpetual existence, which means they're going to live on forever. They don't die. They simply get a new president. So again, if your intent is to pass on a business or create that generational wealth and give it to the next generation, we need to have a trust in place. You also need to have those entity structures in place. And if the ultimate goal is asset protection, I always say this, true asset protection can only be achieved by utilizing multiple entities. If you have all of your assets and all of your business and your investments in one company and a liability issue arises with one of those investments, it's going to take down your whole infrastructure. So again, we've got to have or use multiple different entities, trusts, and in addition to that, maintain the corporate compliance.
Absolutely. And again, some of you, the way we'll start with you, if you already have an entity, and there was a fair amount that had some, Scott, is to review your operating agreements. Like I'm talking to a lot of people, our strategists are talking to a lot of you, and you have partnerships and your operating agreements are something that you bought off, some internet site for, cheap. There's no detail in it. There's what happens if your partner, like in our, Scott and I, as far as if, one of us passed, who's going to take our seat? Neither of us, because we want cash flow for our kids and for him as granddaughter. We want cash flow. So we're not going to buy each other out. But, who's the partner? Do they get a vote? Are we really set up to help continue to run the company? Like all those decisions. And some of you, like even think about divorce. Like what is a divorce going to do if you don't have a prenup? All of a sudden your spouse is going to be, say, Scott's partner. I doubt it. Like he won't tolerate it. I wouldn't tolerate it. So, but believe me, we have seen the good, the bad, and the interesting of what people have done to each other and themselves in the finance space. Operating agreements, no agreements, weird partnerships. One person has all the control, the other one has nothing, but you say you're 50-50. No, there is so much transparency that has to go into running these properly. So when you lean in and at least go to the 100K program. So the 100K, again, is our promise to help you make an extra 100,000 of new income in the next 365 days. If you don't do it, you get one more year for free on us to try it again. And here's what I say, by year 3, if you can't make 100 grand, which is only $8,333 a month, $416 a day, 5 days a week, you might as well get a job because you're clearly not getting the entrepreneurial like structure and what's it mean to be an entrepreneur, a real one. Because here's a problem: anything under 100,000 for anybody, especially if it's employee money, you're getting taxed to pieces on it. If you're just an employee and you don't have any corporate life, many of our clients, I said majority of our clients are employees, and they have with their family some sort of a corporate structure, whether that's real estate investing, whether that's a rehab, maybe it's a direct sales company on the side. Again, not as a sole proprietor. Notice sole proprietor is nowhere on the screen. We don't endorse it. We don't support it. And here's the other problem with sole proprietor that nobody tells you is, you and your sole proprietor have one social security number, right? But if you, right, as an employee of your company or an employee, you and your social security number, that's one set of credit and credit scores. Every company that you open, so say you have 10 companies, now you have 11 sources of credit cards, capital, lines of credit. How you set all that up is extremely strategic. Scott and I and the tax team go through it. I'm asked more frequently, like, how come what I teach, like this corporate life, isn't taught? Like, why isn't there any competition? Like, no one else teaches this. I said, because really, who should be teaching this? Wouldn't you agree, Scott, Randy, and Jason? That really tax strategists, CPAs should be teaching this, because they're the ones that typically, they're hand in hand. Scott's going to help assess which company and trust to have, but it's the lawyers and it's the two with the license. Right, the CPA and the lawyer. You don't need to pay their huge rates. We will behaviorally front face your strategy, and you need them to file your tax returns and agree to the strategy and do your legal paperwork. So we have all those people that come with the team as part of jumping in the table. Randy, Jason, anything else you want to add with Scott? This is critical. This is what we do right here. This is the entire key element to get you.
Just simply without the proper structure, it doesn't matter. Literally. That's it. It is kind of the buck stops there. If you're not structurally set up right, and you don't have the right person doing the accounting, then you will not be able to maximize the opportunity afforded you in the tax code. You can't just go do it yourself. Well, you can. You can't go do it yourself and maximize the functionality of it. Simple.
Yep. Absolutely. There's an idea out there about a balance sheet, and in the event you were to look at a family balance sheet, and the assets would be your human capital, your intellectual capital, your organizational capital, and your financial capital. Right? Most people only think about that third one. Equal to that, I would say, is your organizational capital, which are these entities we're talking about. These entities is what unlocks the door to do what we started this whole day off with.
Yep.
Own everything, or own nothing and control everything, right? That's the way we do it, is this right here.
This is it. This is like your companies own it all. And here's the other thing. Your companies own the majority of your debt. You don't. And it's good debt. It's because debt's the cost of money. That's it. So you're either paying interest, low interest, like 1%, 2%, 3%, or you're getting paid interest as a hard money lender or by your investments. So debt is an amazing vehicle to raise capital, invest, do all sorts of projects. So we literally teach you what's the difference between debt and equity investing. Most people don't even know the difference. Which one's more, which one has more strength, which one provides more opportunity for you if a project doesn't work for you to get in and out of it. Like all of these are critical money rules that you're going to learn when you walk farther into this conversation. How many of you, by the way, right now, like now that you understand what we mean by corporate life, now you're committed. Now you're committed and you're going to jump and like you want this life, because it is a yes or no. Like this isn't like Laurel suggestions. This is how millionaires are made. This is what we do. I mean, Jason, and your example when the boats came over and they burned the boats. Those were corporate boats out of Britain. I think they were C Corp, their version of a C corporation. Right. And what did they do with the boats that had attempted to get over before? They just wrote them off as corporate write-offs because they didn't make it. So then they put another boat in the water. Those were corporations, not just some random solo individual. I don't think you guys realize, like, this structure has been going on for our lifetime. Why are you sitting there not engaged in it? So when you hear me on TikTok and YouTube screaming from the rafters, live corporate life, hello, like, to me, there's no other way to live. The other thing too, like my son is like in finance and accounting, he's becoming a CPA. So for a lot of you, maybe in 5 to 7 years, you will probably have him at the helm of your taxation. He's actually doing forensic accountant, which would be super cool to have on the team, because my whole team knows that he's promised most of his life he wasn't going to come back and help, but why would he walk away from the database and the team and the amount of fun, get my word, fun around taxes. Most people are like, oh my God. I have YouTube videos like, I love the IRS. Thank you for 81,000 pages of code. Thank you for 4 corporate structures. Thank you for letting us live like this. It's phenomenal. So we're serious about this. Scott, I can see you smiling over there. What else would you say? Like, this isn't a choice about how much money you're making. It's an intention to live life in a very specific way.
Absolutely. Well, and having the right team, Randy was kind of talking about that, is having that right CPA. We make jokes about this all the time. There's 2 different types of CPAs. There's a certified public accountant, which is more of the strategist, somebody who's going to say, hey, here's some ideas you want to consider. Then there's the other type of CPA, where CPA stands for cut, paste, and attach. They're a creature of history, right? They're always just rinse and repeat. So it's all about having that right team. And that's really what this community consists of. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go for brain surgery to a general practitioner. Right. And that's what this is too. CPA is simply a general practitioner. You need to have someone who really gets off, if you will, on getting around taxes and doing it legally and using all 81,000 pages.
Yep. And we love it. I mean, all of you, I'll give you one strategy that I talk about a lot. And it's really the primary premise of, one of the ways, but just one easy way is if you the minute your kids are born, they become employed inside your corporation. And you say, what are they going to do? That we'll get to that. We'll teach you that once you're committed. See, a lot of you want to learn it all, and you do have to understand it enough. And then at some point, you got to jump and trust. We've been doing this for 22 years. I have seen it all. I got the good, the bad, interesting out on the internet about me. If people who like me, don't like me, doing something wrong, got sued, whatever. I've been playing real business. I don't just stand on the sideline, write a book, and then bleed it to death for 20 years, hoping it works. Like, we totally live this corporate life completely. So the strategy is that your kids get employed, and you pay them $500 if you can. Like, after taxes, they get at least $500. Now it's actually $6,500. So $6,500 divided by 12, it's a little more than $500 a month. If all you did was fund your kids' Roth from 0 to 20 at $6,500, right? I'm going to put a little calculator on that. 6,500 times 20 years is 130. So Randy, do a quick little math equation around just putting all that money in iFlip and watching it grow, tax-free, tax deferred. That easily could be what? 500,000, 600 million, depending on what they did.
Well, I mean, for the simple math, just, 10% a year. So 100 to 110 to 120. I mean, it just, the last 3 years, it's insane.
It's insane.
And I've been, I've moved a whole bunch of my money over into Flip because I want the tax free. I don't want to pay capital gains on my trades during the year. So why wouldn't I? Even my Roth.
Yep. It's how we roll, a lot of you. So we just have all these strategies, softwares, tools. The way I want you thinking about living corporate life and what we're going to teach you is, you're not going to find this walking into any traditional financial institute. They will have pieces of little parts, but they will not have the entire package. We have experts in every one of these categories, and we're going to put you in the right sequence and walk you through it. And nobody else does it because I made up the word sequencing and how we do it. I didn't make up these different parts, but I put it together in a way that gets user-friendly for you. Because a lot of you, I mean, how many of you would say, yes, you've heard about these things, but you've never been taught how to put them in your life and truly use them, how to write this thing off, how to write those kids off, how to do it all legally. That's where if you go out of here on your own, like Jeff, we're talking to a guy, Brian, if he's out here, good, I'm going to pick on you because you're like, your decision the other day wasn't to jump and spend 20,000 coming by yourself to the table because we have now just a solo ticket. Otherwise, we have a family ticket. There's 2 tickets, depending on who you are, what you want. You're going to do it by yourself. I mean, how's that working for you? Like Randy, you say, I love your saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. So you either want this life and completely live it, which means you live integrated with your kids. You don't have a personal life and a professional life. You have a life. I mean, my kids have been at closing tables. They have been at pizzerias that we have bought and flipped. They've been at hair salons, nail salons. They've been to storage units. They've been just looking at land. They've been out to a cannabis farm. I mean, yeah. So it's 20 for a solo. That means just you, nobody, Teresa. And it is 30. Well, I'll just tell you what's a special. We're going to tell you about it in a minute, but I'll just give you the prices as I already set them. It's normally $37.5, but today it's $35 when you sign it. Either way, teams, just so you know, and Terry, it's probably mostly for you because you help collect contracts and money. Everybody that signs from today until the 29th will be our end date, can have $1,000 off and take that $1,000 to buy their plane ticket and hotel room. So they can have it for 19 and they can have it for 34 paid in full because you have to have it paid in full before you walk in. So there's your, cool. All right. So yeah, you have applying them is where we are very different though, like Francis, I think Francis said that. How to do the life application, like Scott said, how do you write a resolution? How do you vote people in and out of companies? Put your kids into companies? How, do they get a corporate card or do they use your card? Like how all that works, how you get funding in your company, how you get lines of credit in your company, all of it. I mean, what's different is we're one team having a conversation on your behalf. So that's what's different. As far as the systems, though, I want to go back to that. Go to the next slide because I love this slide. I borrowed it from Randy. I'm never giving it back. There's all sorts of crap on the internet of